What's going on, guys? Today I'm making a great weapon fighter build video for mod 12 and mod 12B. It's not going to change when mod 12B comes out. It's going to stay the same. Probably just one feat, which is called staying power. So let's start on with the feats. I have 4 out of 5 points in unstoppable action. You gain 20% more action points while you're in unstoppable. 3 points into Disciple of Strength. Gain 6% more bonus damage based on how much strength you have. Endless Assault, 6% more damage with your encounter powers. This is something really important as well, just like everything else that I showed you. You gain 20% more power based on how much defense you have. So say if you have 20k defense, you gain 4k power, which is basically 10% more power or more damage. Basically. Weapon Mastery, 2 out of 3. And Devastating Critical, 3 out of 3. Crit Severity increases the amount of damage you do. Basically, Crit Severity is a flat damage buff when you crit. Critical Strike, obviously, the more crit chance you have, the more this will be useful for. The path that I went into Paragon is Destroyer build. 5 out of 5 on Great Weapon Focus. Obviously, your at-will powers by 10%. Disciple of War, 25% equal to your... You gain 25% more power, equal to your armor pen and recovery. Mighty Blade, AoE damage increased by 12.5%. A lot of people don't use this, which I don't recommend myself because it's not really that great. It doesn't really affect a lot of powers. I realized that really late, and I don't have a respec token, so it's gonna stay there until I respec again. What I would use is staying power. This mitigates opponents' Destroy now has a 25% chance to gain a stack when hitting any number of targets. Additionally, Destroyer grants shoot 3.5% damage bonus per stack. And then Battle Awareness. This is where it comes in key, because this is obviously, you use your dailies a lot in this build, so having Slam, which grants you 25% more power, is really crucial depending on how much power you have. And then the last point is obviously the Destroyer's purpose. You can read that yourself whenever you feel like it, but yeah. The rest of my points went into Unstoppable Recovery. When you activate Unstoppable, you gain 5% of your maximum hit points. And you can use this too, Scale Agility, which gives you 5% more deflect. But I'd rather use this. And then this is really important, especially if you're running Daring Shout. Target, you do an additional 15% damage to mark targets. This is really important, especially if you're using Daring Shout. My boons, obviously, I have the Power Boon. Depending on when you're in Chult, I run the Armor Pen bonus, because you need a lot of Armor Pen in Chult. About 80% minimum, 180% maximum. It's really crucial. Otherwise, you wouldn't be doing nothing in Chult. For my defense, obviously I chose the defense bonus, because more defense equals more power. Why not? Utility, obviously, mount speed. But if you're leveling up and you're low, use the experience bonus. PvP, we don't have any. I don't really PvP a lot in this character, so there's no point in having a PvP bonus. I think they're all just useless, because they'll only affect you when you're in PvP, basically. Sharandar, I went straight bottom path. 400 power, more damage, 400 crit, better chance to crit. 3% action point gain instead of maximum HP, which doesn't really matter to me. Elven Furiosity, this doesn't really matter. This only affects one target in my opinion, and this heals you. Elvish Fury, when you kill a foe, you gain 135 power for 45 seconds. And this is really good because if you're killing trash mobs, your power goes up a lot. Dread Ring, I have 250 critical. You can get the 250 power if you want, but I'd rather have the crit chance, especially when you're first starting off. You want higher crit so you can start doing better numbers in anything. Evoker's Thirst, 400 lifesteal. I don't really like regen. It's only effective when you're not getting hit and when you're not in combat. Lifesteal obviously gives you survivability, especially when you lifesteal, which I'll show you here soon. 3% resistance ignored. Why not? I don't really need deflect because not a deflect build. Enraged growth. You heal 20,000 hit points over time, over a few seconds, and you gain 4,000 more defense. Which obviously, like I said before, more defense equals more power. I don't really use Shadow Touch. It's kind of useless because it only does 20,000 damage, and I think this only affects one target as well. And the target receives 25% less healing for 10 seconds, which not a lot of bosses get healed. I mean, it can be used in a new area, but it doesn't really matter. By the time they try to do something like this, they'll be dead already. And then Rampaging Madness. This boon is important. When you deal damage, you gain a stack of madness, which stacks up to 50 times. Once it's at full stacks, you gain 4,000 power, 4,000 lifesteal, and 4,000 regeneration. This is amazing. Super amazing. 4,000 power is basically around 10% more damage. 4,000 lifesteal is around 10%, I think, lifesteal, or 5%, something like that. And then 4,000 regen, which is purposely useless, but it's just the 4,000 power and the 4,000 lifesteal you get. Icewind Dale, I went all bottom and Winter's Bounty. First one is 400 combat advantage bonus. Really, I don't need AoE resist because a lot of the bosses usually just hit you unless you're doing Orcus and stuff like that. Refreshing Chill, 400 stamina gain, which on a Graven fight you sprint a lot to get out of AoEs and stuff like that. Sleet skills, 2% crit severity. Crit severity means more damage. This is basically a 2% damage buff when you crit. Cool resolve, based on how much stamina you gain 2,000 power. I usually run around a lot, so I have no stamina, so this is always in effect. Winter's Bounty, you have a chance to gain 10% action points when killing a target, which is super important, especially when you're killing trash mobs. You get your daily back super fast. Primordial Might, this is under Dark Oath. Primordial Might, 400 power and 1600 maximum hit points. 400 crit, 10% combat advantage damage, 5% stamina regen, and this is really whatever you want, but I use Demon Slayer. It works really well in CN, especially when you're just hitting really quickly. You destroy trash mobs like the shadows and the gorilla looking things, whatever they're called. Tyranny, I don't really do Tyranny, but 400 power, this is actually in my opinion the best campaign, just because you get all around stats and what you need. You gain 400 power, 400 crit, 400 defense, 400 lifesteal, and crit severity. Obviously there's 3 points. I don't really care for the other 2 boons because it doesn't really matter to me. I barely play on this character, but I still play on it just as an ult. If I would, I'd probably just put 1 point into this and then put the rest into this, just because more lifesteal, it's a better chance of you surviving. The Maze Engine quest, obviously 5% lifesteal rating, 400 combat advantage damage, and 3% action point gain with Baphomet's Might. When striking before you have a chance to gain 200 critical strike for 6 seconds. This procs a lot, and it's really useful, especially when you have low crit. For Elemental, you will have Wave of Force, 300 power, 2,000 maximum hit points. Heart of Stone, 4% lifesteal severity, and 2,000 maximum hit points. Searing Aggression, 400 crit and 2,000 maximum hit points. Gale of Retribution, when taking damage, you have a chance to heal over 24,000 hit points for a few seconds, and increases your crit for 1,000. On a Graven fighter, you really don't need recovery at all whatsoever, because you're usually just using at-wills, so this is pointless. The rest of them are pointless as well. Stamina gain doesn't really matter, and lifesteal severity, you already have it super high, so it doesn't matter for the rest of the boons you get. Now, to Storm King's Thunder, 2% lifesteal rating, 400 stamina gain, 2,000 recovery based on how much stamina you're missing. This goes with the other one where you gain 2,000 power based on how much stamina you're missing as well. Vengeful Heat, when you kill a foe, you have a chance to deal up to 2,000 fire damage to all nearby targets. this procs a lot, a lot, especially when you're fighting trash mob. It procs a lot. And then Chill of Winter. When striking a foe, you have a chance to gain Icy Chill at 10 stacks. Your next attack clears all stacks and releases a burst of damage up to 10,000, 12,000, 14,000. I don't really ever see this proc, but it's really good. Now to Cloak the Ascendancy. Aura of Hope. When you kill an enemy, you have a chance to emit an Aura of Hope that boosts AP gain for all allies. This is really good for dungeons. Super good. Fury Frenzy. 2% crit severity. Obviously, it's way better than incoming heal. And then Fae Briars. 500 lifesteal. More lifesteal, more survivability. More crit severity, more damage. More AP gain, more daily, more damage. This is... I have no idea what to use, so I just get Vengeance of Beyond, because the rest of them don't really seem that good. It takes too long. But when you land a critical strike, you regenerate 10% faster for stamina for 10 seconds, which is really good. Jungle's Cholt. I haven't really focused on these boons. I just got the lures first unlocked, so yeah. But if I did go for the boons, I would go for Tyrant's Tower Terror. So Jungle's Cholt, the boon that I would choose is Tyrant's Terror. For Jungle's Cholt, the boon that I would choose out of all of these is Tyrant's Terror. You gain 500 power, 750, and 1000 power based on just flat out power buff. The rest of these are more of like a deflect, defense against dinosaurs, damage against dinosaurs. You really don't need these unless you're just farming T-Rexes in the new Cholt area. Obviously this is way better. You're gaining 2%, I think, or about 2% more damage based off of all this power and more maximum hit points. That's it for the boons. Let's just get into the character. Alright, so here's my stats, and this is where I put most of my points into. I would go strength, stamina regen damage bonus, and dexterity, crit chance, deflection chance. Constitution is really not that great. I don't really use Constitution unless you're a tank build maybe, which you'll never be a tank build. Not for a Graven Fighter. Never. The gear I'm running is the Aboleth weapon set. Also, the armor that I have on is all come from hunts and the new Cholt area. These are armors that can be earned through specific lures. This comes from the 1-star hunt called Hedetitet. This comes from Clawgraze. These arms come from a 2-star lure called Bacho. He is a big white tiger. These boots come from Sarosh. Obviously this isn't the gear you want to run for endgame. This is just starting gear for now to have on. I would never use this gear once I start running 2/9 guides. I would probably, obviously, in my opinion, a lot of people like the new Amiculum set from the King of Spines lure, but which is right here. Oops, sorry. It is right here. This is where you get King of Spines. He's the only way you can get King of Spines is from running 3-star lure. And the only way you can get that is from doing all the rest of the 3-star lures. They have to drop certain pieces for you to get the lure for this certain boss to spawn in. Then you have to kill that boss. But in reality, the gear that you really want, in my opinion, is the primal gear. Obviously this is, in my opinion, best in slot. You gain 2k power, 2k 1.5k crit almost. When you damage or hit your target for more than 15% of your maximum hit points, single blow, percent defense for 10 seconds. Now this right here, okay, as a Graven Fighter, you will always do 15% more damage, no matter what, in a single blow, no matter what. So all this gear is so useful. I shit you not, especially this. This is basically unlimited. Would be the assault helmet, the raid chest piece, the raid arms, and the raid boots. Because all of these gives you at least power, or crit, or armor pen. Recovery is simply useless in my opinion. But this whole gear set is amazing. It's way better than the Amiculum, etc., etc. Just because you gain 1% power off these arms, you gain 5% more defense, 5% more defense. Whatever your defense is, you gain off that to power. Lifesteal, always, and you get 1% of your health back. And the boots, you gain 1% action point gain when you kill trash mobs. This is amazing. Amazing. Your action point bar just flies up when you're killing trash mobs. It's so good. Now for artifacts, I don't really care for the fire wheel of elements. I'd rather just use the Sigil of Devoted. The more I get my daily up, the better it is. I have the Horn of Valhalla, Lost Mouse Horn of Blasting, and the Orca set. Obviously Orca set is still best in slot in my opinion. There's not really a lot of sets for a Great One Fighter to be really viable for. You could use a broken set, but trust me, this 20% more damage you gain based off the amount of health points that the target's missing is super crucial. It helps a lot. Now for the companions, I don't really like have maxed out companions obviously, but the companion I use now is Con Artist, mainly because it has the 3 ring slots. But in reality, you want to use a Cell Sword and get the +4 gear from Illusionist Gambit. But this is good, especially when you have a low tier character, just because of the consumed by battle, and plus it's for 3 rings. You can buy 3 rings literally from the Seal Vendor and Protector's Enclave, and you'll be set with a great companion. Obviously, I run the Ernisa Belial for 5% crit severity. Once it gets to Legendary, I think it goes to 10%. Or 8%, I could be wrong. This isn't really a companion. I just use it just to use it because it restores 6% of my stamina. I have 2 Archons. I have the Air Archon and the Earth Archon. This gives me damage based on a target that's not at full health. This gives me damage based on a target when I'm at full health. So I gain obviously 9% plus the 0.5, 10% more damage. All the time. Now, for AoE, enchantments I use is, well, that I would recommend using. I borrowed these thanks to some of my friends. I would use a Transcendent Lightning. This is probably the best, matter of fact, is the best enchantment for trash mobs with a specific number of passives. So I would use Steel Blitz, which every time you damage an enemy, you have a 25% chance to instantly strike again, dealing 60% of your weapon damage. And if you don't have max crit, which I don't obviously, but if you don't, definitely use Weapon Mastery with Steel Blitz, or just use Destroyer and Steel Blitz, or Wrathful Determination. You gain up to 5% melee damage based on your determination fills up. This bonus is double when your determination is full. So basically this is 12.5%, double that, 25% more damage. Encounters, I always use Indomitable Battle Strike, great for getting your daily back. Crescendo, I never use Crescendo, but it's just there in case. When a boss is about to die, I use it. Battle Fury, it's alright if somebody else is using Daring Shout, so this is viable. Obviously, Daring Shout is one of my main encounters with Weapon Master Strikes, which is basically one of the best at-wills for a Great One Fighter. And I'm starting from the bottom here, I'm sorry. This is also the second best at-will. Sure Strike. These are the main 2 at-wills you will always be using, no matter what. You'll always be using it. And then Hidden Daggers. This just gives you amazing damage buff. Increases your melee damage by 40%. Which is a 40% damage buff, obviously, plus the Daring Shout, which is obviously another 15%. So that's about it. Here's what it might look like once you're in combat. Here. this is the best thing that I use for trash mobs and dungeon runs. But for single target, I would either recommend a Vorpal or a Transcendent Terror. A Terror is really good based on how much power you have and based on who is your debuff DC, because the more power you have, the more the Terror's effect comes in, and the higher your weapon damage is with the Terror. See, it was just at 111%, now it's at 74% weapon damage as necrotic damage with your powers. In addition, your target takes 6% more damage and deals 8% less damage. This is really great because obviously it goes higher and higher based on how much more power you have and who's debuffing the boss that you're fighting. So this is more of a single target build. Obviously, once you have max crit, you want to run Destroyer with Wrathful Determination instead of Steel Blitz, and same powers, same encounters, everything's the same. Just pop your slam, go in, and just hammer away at your ad. You do massive damage, and this is just at 12.7 item level. It gets way better the higher your item level is and the higher your bondings are. This is just basically a little show. It gets way better, trust me. The more higher item level you have, the higher your gear is, the more power you have, the more damage you do. And definitely, like right now, I'm at 47k power. This is without an AC DC that's buffing me power sharing. This is without a pally power sharing, and I'm able to hit almost 700k crits. It's easy. This is just what I use for single target, nothing else. This is about it. If you have a question, leave a comment down below, ask me anything. I'll make sure I respond, and leave a like and subscribe. Thank you. I'm out. Peace.